When I was a child, I would often play alone. There were no children my age in my neighborhood. Back then, I lived in an old house with many rooms. I went into one room to play alone and found a closet. There were lots of old things in there. They weren't boxed up, just left out in the open. I found the mirror there. It was an old-fashioned hand mirror. It was in a box, a totally plain box, nothing special about it at all. It was a beautiful round hand mirror. It looked very old, but it showed no signs of wear and tear. I remember the first time I looked in the mirror. I brought it up to my face. There was a girl stood behind me, a girl I had never seen before. I immediately spun round to check if there was anyone behind me, but there was no one there. I looked back into the mirror and saw her. She was only there in the mirror. It was as if that was where she lived. I was so intrigued. For some reason, I didn't find it strange at all. I looked into the mirror at the girl. She was fair-skinned, and she had long hair. I saw her there over my shoulder. She noticed me and smiled. I called her Nana. I can't remember why. I was young. "Hello," I said, and our friendship began. I wasn't lonely anymore. A couple of times, my parents, my mum, found me in the closet. She saw me staring into the mirror and frowned, but she never tried to take the mirror away from me. I felt like I was the only one who could see Nana. One day I said, I really want a friend to play with." To this, Nana responded, "Why don't you come here and play with me?" I said, "How can I? How can I get there?" "I don't know," Nana said with a puzzled look on her face. She went quiet for a moment, and then she said, "I'll ask." I wanted to know who she was planning on asking, but for some reason, I didn't ask her. It was weird. I can't remember how many days passed, but one day when I was talking to her, a gleeful grin swept across her face as she said, "I found a way. You can come here, and we can play together." I was so pleased, but I remembered my parents' rules. I had to let my mother or father know if I was ever going out. Because I knew that I needed permission, I said to Nana, "I'll have to check with Mum." She looked confused. "Don't tell anyone about this. If you do, then it will be really bad. Maybe we wouldn't even be able to play together if you told." Nana said something like that. I remember thinking at the time that it would be terrible, and I would be so sad if I couldn't go and play with my new friend. "Why don't you come and play with me tomorrow?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Then it's a promise?" she asked. She pressed her hand against the mirror. I pressed mine on hers, my side. I felt her hand. It was warm. I didn't tell my parents about our promise, but I couldn't sleep that night. Loads of questions swirled around my mind. How did she get into the mirror? What's it like in the mirror? Why didn't Nana want to come here? The more I thought about these things, the more they worried me. Nana had started to frighten me. The next day, I was too frightened to meet her or even talk to her. I didn't touch the mirror. And the day after that, and the day after that, I didn't go anywhere near the room where I spoke to Nana. Days, weeks, months, and years passed by. I went to high school, and when I graduated, I left town. I got a job in a nearby town. Before long, I met my wife, and we started to plan a family. I completely forgot about Nana, the little storage closet, and the mirror. My wife became pregnant. She suggested that we should spend some time with my parents, and we went back to my hometown to tell them the good news. It was nice to be back. We had a home-cooked meal and decided to stay over at my parents' house. I woke up during the night and went to the bathroom. While washing my hands, I looked up into the mirror. I saw a door open in the hallway behind me. Beyond that door was darkness. I saw the closet I used to spend so much time in. I remembered something about that room. The closet door was closed when I looked over my shoulder, but the door was open when I looked into the mirror. A shiver crept up my spine. Something was moving back there. I stood still and watched it in the mirror. I remembered Nana in that moment. I couldn't take my eyes off of the mirror. The door was moving. I saw a familiar figure shift into frame. That old nostalgic smile of the young girl I befriended. It was Nana. And that's all I can remember. I woke up in my bed and just assumed that I had had a nightmare. I began to feel uneasy in my parents' home. I wanted to get out of there, and fast. So I took off and headed back to my apartment. My building has parking in the basement for residents. I pulled in, and I was lining myself up to reverse park. I looked into the rearview mirror. There was Nana. I looked back over my shoulder, and no one was back there. No one sat behind me. When I looked into my rearview mirror, she was there. She looked the same as before. She hadn't changed at all. Her long hair was in bunches at the sides, just like when we were kids. I was shaking as I stared at her. "Hello," she said in her usual quiet way. "Why didn't you come? I've been waiting a long time for you." She was smiling that old nostalgic smile. I was speechless. "It's okay. Come here. Let's play." She reached her hand toward me. "Come and play with me." "No! I'm sorry, Nana. I can't go with you." Nana was silent as she drew closer to the mirror. Her hand still reaching towards me. I grabbed the handle of my car door and hurriedly tried to open it. In a weaker and smaller voice, I pleaded with her. "I have a wife, and I have a child on the way." I couldn't bring myself to look into the mirror. "Oh, I see. You're all grown up now and you can't play with me anymore," Nana said in a lonely voice. "Well, I guess that can't be helped." I peeked into the mirror and saw that Nana was smiling. It was a really innocent smile. I felt as if she had forgiven me. "Nana," I started. "If that's the case, I'll have to play with someone else, won't I? I'll have to find a new child to play with." And with that, she disappeared. I had no idea what she meant. And to this day, Nana has never appeared again. However, 2 days after I saw her in the rearview mirror, my wife had a miscarriage. We have been unable to have children since.